Good morning, YouTubers. Hope you're all having a great time. What's coming up next is two little films are stitched together on a trip I've just done down to see my mum and my dad. I'd noticed along the way that Northwest Honda were about a 15-minute detour off my route south, and so I decided then to go and see them and arrange to test drive the Goldwing bagger. And so I put that in. It's in there as much for me as it is for you. There's no riding video with it. I just stopped in the car park for lunch and looked at some things, then made me think of the difference between this bike and the RT. No decision's been made yet, but it is interesting. And then I was just stuck in some riding video as I rode from my hotel just out of Stratford and Avon to my mum and dad's house. I was testing the new Rode microphone that I've got, and that has worked very well. But it's worked too well. It's picked up all my heavy breathing as well. And for those of you who like to give me feedback, unfortunately I can't fix the heavy breathing. It's a lifelong thing. I've just got to work out where I can place the microphone so it isn't quite so heavy for you. Interested about your comments, especially about the Honda. But you'll see the effect it had on me and how it's got me really thinking. Whatever the decision is, well, you're going to have to wait for that. So here we have the Goldwing bagger. Well, it's not a bagger, it's just a Goldwing. Compared to the RT, I don't think it's as nice, although it's much better in the flesh than the photographs do it. These little orange flashes set it up quite nicely. The screen's quite small, but it's effective. The RT is more of a sit in it. This is more of a sit on it. But this is smoother, and I say more placid. I haven't had it in sport mode, but it handles nicely. But again, I've not had it around the Highlands, so I'd say the main difference is the tech. In that is a much less of a faff. Now down here you've got more on the bars, but and in fact it's less of a faff than a lot of the RT. Turn it on. Get the screen in there. The navigation's instant. Press the home button and there's the menu, up and down. Press navigation. It's just easy. You don't get the level of information you get in the RT with the TFT, just nowhere near as much. But you have the information that you need, like range, like mileage. It isn't as clear to read things like speed as the RT, but that centre screen is so much better, so much easier to use. Dare I say it's the system that BMW should have invented themselves. My phone fits in here and I put it on charge. I only ride it 15 minutes. I've got quite a big boost, got 10% charge to my phone, so you don't have the wireless charging, but you have the charging with a cable. And my phone's a big phone, fits in there. Of course, my big phone won't fit in my RT. The panniers are actually pretty small. You're not going to get a big helmet in there, although I knew that already. So you have to be quite careful in your packing. And what would be interesting is would a laptop go in there? In fact, when I get back, I think that's one of the things I'll test out. Could you actually fit a laptop in there? Because without that, I like the size of the bagger, like the shape of the bagger. One of the big differences is, would something go on the back here? could you actually put a bag on here if need be. There's no heated seat, you don't get a heated seat with this. The heated seats only come on the Tour. So that's definite downsides. Size of the panniers, no heated seat. It rides more like a cruiser than a tourer. But I don't think over a period of time it would be any problem. The big difference is the tech. That is such a difference. I can't get over how easy it is compared to the RT. So this is not the Highlands, this is Stratford upon Avon. Heading through to the other side of Leamington Spa. This is the main Stratford to Warwick road. Since been bypassed. And my first experiences of motorcycling were very much on these roads. And now, some 40 odd years later, here I am riding the roads that were formative to my youth. And here we go, bloody loose chippings, hate these things. Helps me avoid the speed camera. 50 limit, what am I doing, 25 miles an hour. So this must have been down a few days because it's lost that ultra glass-like feeling you get when they first put it down, but still a fair amount of loose stones knocking around. But I suppose if you're in the council and money's tight and you don't have enough money to fix the roads, this much lower cost solution is what you have to do. There we go. Nice little Porsche Boxster there. Oh, I've gone the wrong way. As ever, when going the wrong way, you sometimes find something different, so probably going to come off of Kenilworth and back roads in. There's a McLaren there. I always wonder with something like a McLaren how comfortable it is for pootling around. I mean, here this guy is monster power, monster sound. Not my day today. I have been thinking a lot about the differences between the Honda Goldwing bagger. Honda don't call it a bagger, they just call it the Goldwing, and the big one is called the Goldwing Tour, but collectively everyone calls it the bagger. So on the RT I have the two-phone system. I have my own phone, which I use for everything, and then I have a phone dedicated to the bike. And I'd say 80% of the time, 90% of the time even, everything works fine. But my helmet ran out of charge yesterday, and I've recharged it overnight, and then when I went to connect it this morning, it wouldn't connect. That the bike has decided that because I didn't use it all day yesterday, I didn't want it anymore, and completely broke the connection. So I've got to reconnect it. And only once yesterday did the sat-nav fail. The mapping dropped off. I have definitely learnt to live with some of the foibles of this system, but I can't help thinking that what Honda have is the system that BMW should have designed. A fully integrated satellite navigation system that is programmable on the bike. You haven't got to stop and take your phone out and put your destination in, then put it all back in again. And don't get me wrong, the system is working now, but it remains a right old faff. So on the right here, as we go through, we have the entrance to Warwick Castle. School holidays here, so all the tourists are out. And just looking ahead there, St Nicholas Church, and behind St Nicholas Church is St Nicholas Park, which has always been busy. It's a lovely day, Easter holidays, so it's packed. And people pulling in and pulling out. The curse of the modern holiday, traffic everywhere. All because I took a wrong turn. The St Nicholas Park is a beautiful park. Spent years as a kid and as a young adult in this park. Played football in this park. Rode the river. This is my old cross-country route from school. Didn't look nothing like this. Warwick School, which has always been here. What's it now? King's High School. Warwick Public School. And this little building here at one point was a sweet shop and was a real treat for us to stop. Now a house, but it was a little shop at one point. This was once all countryside. Used to cycle here, turn from work, turn from school, run across it when it was fields. Now it's a science park, industrial estate, housing estate, as we'll see. So this has become a little bit of a reflections on my youth. And I mean, what you see here is a 30-year building project that I think has doubled the size of Leamington Spa. It was always a pretty big town, but it's, I think, more than doubled it now. The integration of industry and housing. I think the idea is that people live and work and not have to travel, so their house is by their office, so we no longer have commuters. How successful that's been, don't know. And on the left here, this is where it all started. This was the first actual industrial estate they built back at the end of the 70s, early 80s. It's a 40-year project. And in fact, this roundabout here, before it was a roundabout, was a bend. And a good friend of mine, 17 years of age, was killed on a motorcycle here. He had an RD 250, took it a bit quick, hit a tree, killed instantly. And we were the same age. So I often think about him. I often think about what sort of life would he have, because his parents are still around and they're friends of my parents. And his brother's grown up and is now a granddad himself. It was at a time I lost a few friends to motorcycles. My next door neighbour, he hit a post box on a Suzuki 400, GT 400 I think he had. One of my school friends, I think he was on a RT or a GT 250, went round a corner and found an undip skip. He was killed. I learned at a very early age that these things that we love so much can bite. Thankfully since then I haven't lost anybody, but certainly did. It was within a couple of years of us all leaving school and discovering things like motorcycles. And I suppose when sometimes we wonder why the rules of learning to ride a motorcycle and getting a license, we wonder why they're so draconian. That little tale tells me that when we didn't have those and anybody could just hop on a 250 and do 100 mile an hour, without really knowing how to control it. We had what could be described as carnage. Cycling and phoning at the same time. Is it a good idea? Discuss. Another successful journey done.